1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. 1 full hour of wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
What? You didn't get enough of me the first 2 hours tonight? Oh, my God. Just finished up filling in on Common Ground for Pat Casale, and now we're on the Mark Hoke Show. Now I'm in charge. I answer to no man. Except Jared in the booth. You know, that's he flips a switch, I'm screwed, so it's all good. All right. So the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment, of course, are going to be here tonight. And then back on tomorrow at 8 a.m. So we'll see what's going on in the world of pro wrestling. Tonight, I am privileged to be joined by the sexiest co-host in pro wrestling. No, he's not. But I'm just trying to make him feel better because he's a big man who hurt me. James Samuel, what's up, buddy?
No, you had it right the first time.
Wow.
But
whatever you say.
Like Bobby Lashley tonight, 3 shows. Look at you.
Yeah, that is true. I did 2 shows. 2 shows. 1 2-hour and now this one. But I kind of got thrown into that. So, man, this is not going to be easy going for politics to wrestling. What a strange transition. But
they're more similar than you might imagine. Politics and wrestling.
Sometimes that is very, very true. Boy, a lot went on this week, and boy, it's kind of hard to pick where to start. But I think I'm going to start with AEW tonight. I think we're going to start with that their Dynamite show. That was, well, shall we say, a lot of fun and a little controversial too. But I'm going to start with the fun part. Dude, a throwback match on Wednesday night as Hangman Adam Page in the long-anticipated defense against Bryan Danielson on the Winter is Coming show. And, of course, we were all sitting here, who's going to win, and trying to figure out what they're going to do, and then who's the next champ, and all that fun stuff. And we forgot about the possibility of them going Broadway, which is commonly known as a 60-minute draw. An unbelievable war between those two. And I didn't get any spoilers before the match, so I watched it straight up. I kind of figured at some point this was probably going to go all the way, but I have to say, I'm really shocked. Back in the 80s, Ric Flair was legendary for doing those 60-minute matches all the time, and guys like Harley Race and the Funks and so on would do those 60-minute time limit draws, and you almost wondered, man, how do you put a match together for 60 minutes like that? Well, kids, there you go. That's how you put a match together for 60 minutes. An amazing fight between those two guys, and we're going to get more. We're going to get more of Hangman Adam Page and Bryan Danielson. James, your reaction to that match going all the way to the 60-minute time limit, and on TV too, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I definitely think it was the best TV match of the whole year, definitely, and I think definitely it's in contention of match of the year. And I also think this run of down Bryanson has put him in top 5 best of all time, I think, in-ring performers. I think this run here has cemented him in that category.
It's funny that you say that, because when you think about him being Daniel Bryan in WWE, and of course, he was Bryan Danielson in Ring of Honor before he went in there. Bryan really was such a great technical wrestler. Everybody loved to watch what he did, and then he goes to WWE, And, you know, the WWE product is a little more family friendly, I guess. This is a fair way to say it. And you wish that when he was in WWE, that Bryan Danielson could have wrestled like he has in these matches. That one on Wednesday night, the 30-minute draw with Kenny Omega. I mean, my God, he was incredible. And to me, the best part about what he did in there, and you know, you can give your opinion on this, obviously, is he just did a lot of the cool little things, little holds here and there, gestures to the crowd, all sorts of just small stuff that just kept pulling you in and pulling you in. And I swear to God, I could have watched that the whole show. I'd have been thrilled. If him being held back like that in WWE, you wonder what everybody else in WWE is thinking right now, seeing that and saying, God, I wish I could do that too. I mean, the ripples from this match are going to be felt for a while, I think.
Yeah, it was an amazing match. The ring psychology by both men were put in. I think it was a great match for Adam Page too.
Yeah,
show that he's on, you know, par on the level of one of the best in the world. So I think it was a match that elevated him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Page, you know, I mean, he's no rookie or anything like that. He's certainly been around, but no question, that's his highest profile match he's ever had. Well, aside from winning the title, I suppose. But man, oh day, you know, Page was right along with him, and you know, performed super well. You know, I didn't necessarily like the delays when he got cut open, where that kind of dragged out. But that was during commercial break too, so they kind of hoped you weren't paying too much attention to that. But yeah, I think that takes Hangman Adam Page to another level as well, to say you can go 60 minutes with one of the best wrestlers in the world and perform a match like that. Man, that just took his stock through the roof. So, you know, big congratulations to both of those guys. But now what, James? Now what do we do? What do we do? We've just had a 60-minute draw. What's next for these guys?
I think you just have them, you know, wrestle again, and you know, have them, you know, build it up with Vince, with each one telling each other they could beat each other. You know, the classic one was between that. So I think you have to do that. I think with a match that good, I don't think you can really put them in different directions. Because you know, it's going to have that cloud over it, because people want that program to have the conclusion.
Well, what do you think is the next step, though? I mean, obviously they're going to have a rematch, but is it, you know, do we do a no time limit match? Do we do a cage match? Do we do last man standing?
I think
what's
like
the
a hardcore match, like a match they just had, but have a little hardcore element, some weapons and whatnot.
Yeah, you know, I'm almost partial to just putting a no time limit stipulation on. You know, I just really enjoyed them wrestling, and you know, you can do the weapons and the no DQ matches and all that stuff. You know, maybe a last man standing match might be a possibility in there. But honestly, I just want to see one of those guys get a 1, 2, 3 or a submission. You know, and let them duke it out. Obviously, they're not going to go, you know, do a 2 or 3 hour match on a pay-per-view or anything like that. But, you know, I just want to see them wrestle again. I mean, you know, and the one thing about that match that it really reminded me of older days, I guess, as much as I hate to say it, where guys just wrestled. You know, that's what they did. You know, we didn't have pies in the face. We didn't have, you know, all sorts of, you know, squirt guns and dumb stuff like that. It showed that people will enjoy a pure style wrestling match. And,
right.
And I hope the message gets out to other companies that you can do that and people will be entertained. So, yeah, I mean, what a match that was. Unreal. I think they kind of knew when they were opening the show with it, though. Kind of knew something was up there, but But what a wild one that was. What else happened on the show? There was something else that happened on that show that I really honestly kind of caught me off guard. Wardlow had a squash match after that, so that saved a little time. For those that don't know what a squash match is, someone comes out and gets crushed in about a minute and a half, and it's all over. Wardlow looking good. The world is going to rejoice when he clocks MJF. So that'll be fun. Sheeta and Deeb, another great match. Interesting happenings with the Dante Martin MJF match. Speaking of that little weasel, who I think is one of the greatest professional wrestlers in the business right now. Of course, Dante Martin gets screwed over by Ethan Page at the end of the match. We got a big thing with Sting, Darby Allin, and CM Punk coming out to the ring. FDR was out there too. Just, all sorts of little shenanigans at the end. But I gotta put this out here. I gotta put it out. CM Punk came out, of course, in this TV show was in Texas, where the Texas abortion law has been stirring up some controversy. And he wore an anti-abortion T-shirt on the show. Whether you feel one way or the other about the issue, I am shocked to see someone being allowed, even if it's CM Punk, to make that kind of a political statement on probably one of the 2 or 3 hottest issues in politics on the show. And the lessons of get woke, go broke have been seen all over sports, all over entertainment, and Punk came out with that shirt on. Like I said, it's not a matter of how you feel about it, but the question is, was it good for business? You had some people on Twitter, like, oh, yeah, yay, and of course you had the other, some people who was like, oh, I can't believe he did that, voicing their opinions on the issue. But now look what you did. Look what you did. You took a character that everybody really likes, and you've made people think something about something other than wrestling when we're trying to be entertained.
But this is the thing. Do people even really like him anymore? I'm telling you, he is so close to becoming Cody Rhodes 2.0 for AEW, in my opinion. I think he has a good bump for they absolutely turn on him.
Well, and that's another issue. I'm sure it doesn't help. But do you think it was good for business for Tony Khan to let him wear that shirt out there? I'm sure that it's, it's CM Punk. This is my superstar. But man,
I don't think. I think it's good for locker room morale, but I don't think it's good for the bottom line.
Well, but then here's where that leads. Do other wrestlers get to wear their political statements on their shirts? Let's say, and I know there are conservatives in the EW locker room and all locker rooms, but just say one wrestler came out with a "Let's Go Brandon" shirt on. The phrase that everybody's using to slam Joe Biden in the media. Do you think that, and the cons, from what I understand, are conservative. Do you think that would be a good thing? Do you think that politically dividing your crowd on somebody else would be a good thing too? That's the question. Could this possibly lead to a situation where you're doing, like what the NBA did and wreck their audience because they shoved everything down politics down people's throats? It's a dangerous thing to do. It's a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, it definitely is, because you give the other, like you said, it opens the door for the other people to want to wear their shirts too. And then, what if they have a slogan that you don't too much agree with? And then now you have that situation going on.
Michael Jordan famously said Republicans wear sneakers too. And referring to the fact that, he didn't come out and endorse a candidate one way or the other. And when it comes to entertainment, for me, I work at a station that is talk radio. I'm immersed in politics all day long. You know what I don't want to see when I turn on a wrestling show? Politics. I don't want politics. I want to watch a few people get in the ring, beat each other up, do crazy stuff, have a great time, cheer, and enjoy myself. Man, don't pull me back to that world for right now. I need a vent. And I'm sure a lot of other people do too. And of all subjects, you had to pick that one. That is so sensitive. It's just, I think is a terrible decision on Tony Khan's part. I think it's a terrible decision on CM Punk's part. I know he's trying to send a statement, but do it outside the ring. He's got millions of Twitter followers. You want to extol that? Do it on your Twitter. Do it in interviews. Say what you want to say. Do your media tours in Texas and get on every radio station that you could have been on and say your piece. But man, just let us have a little bit, I was really disappointed in that. It's funny that you never hear Vince McMahon and the McMahon family, of course, are Republicans. Linda was in Donald Trump's cabinet with the Small Business Association. Do you ever see that stuff on WWE TV? No, because they're smart. They know you don't want to tick off half your audience. So I hope they think twice next time. I really do. There's my rant about that. How about it?
Yeah, I think you got a valid point.
Yep. Just don't tick off your audience. Be happy. Have fun. Let's see. Where else do we want to hit? Well, speaking of having some fun, how about Jeff Hardy? This situation is taking an interesting turn. For those that don't know, Mr. Hardy was in a house show match. I believe they were also in Texas too. I think something's in the water down there. Walked out of the match, went up in the stands. WWE pulled him in the office pulled him off the shows and said, "Hey, you want to go to rehab?" And of course, he's had issues in the past with drugs and alcohol. He said no, and they said, "See ya." And lo and behold, he did not go into hiding. He was on his brother Matt's Twitch stream. They were talking all sorts of stuff, and Matt essentially said, "You guys don't know the story about this," and he's fine. And Jeff's out doing public events right now. Were we wrong about Jeff Hardy being sick or, having a relapse or something along those lines? What is going on here with Jeff Hardy? What do you think?
That's a hard one to right now, really. I think a little bit of it says that he did that so he can get out of the contract. I think a little bit shows maybe that it wasn't as bad as he used to be back in the day, but WWE didn't want a chance of it getting worse. So I think, we might have to let things play out and see how much information they really give us.
Yeah, it's a touchy situation because, of course, he had just done the Broken Skull sessions, but he also said, hey, I'd love to have one more run with my brother. And then all of a sudden, something happens that he manages to get fired. And there's been conflicting reports out there, too. I've read different sources saying that said he was fine during the day. I saw another one that said he was a little off, before the match. So it's, I wonder where the truth is. This is pretty intriguing, and you got to wonder. And Happy Cordman, of course, said there's no way Jeff would do that to get out of his contract. Really? Now, I know he was talking about wanting to make another run for the Universal title, but at the same time, maybe he had other things he wanted to do. This will be a fun story to follow. Of course, he's under a 90-day compete clause, so he can't wrestle for anybody for a while. We'll see if he pops up in AEW. Do you think he will pop up in AEW, James?
I think he will. I definitely think he will. I think he'll be there. I think him and his brother will be tag team together, but I think they will be doing the broken Matt Hardy gimmick.
I hope so. They got to bring that back. They got to bring the broken gimmick back. For those that don't know what that is, Matt Hardy came up with this concept of him being what's the best word? Not totally insane, but kind of like picture a megalomaniac sitting in the top of the castle. and ruling over his kingdom, but being a little bit loopy doing it. That was what he did. But they created these cinematic matches. Instead of being in a ring, they would go to his, where he lived and do matches on their property. And they were awesome, and people really got a kick out of them, like the Final Deletion and so on. So it'll be this is gonna be fun. I'd be interested to see if they bring that back, or they decide they want to go one more direction and try something different. Knowing the Hardys, they love doing crazy stuff, so we'll see how that ends up. I don't want to do that story yet. I will tease that one once we get to the break. One thing, and speaking of tag teams, I think we got a few minutes. I think enough to jam this one in. I thought this was an intriguing story on Cultaholic. Freddie Prinze Jr., the actor. Of course, for those of you that know him as an actor, he also actually wrote for WWE, so he was part of the creative team. And one of the things that he tried to do when he was working in WWE was he wanted to push tag teams, and everybody knows Vince hates tag teams. For some reason, he'll find a couple of good ones and push it for a while, and then he doesn't care. He'll break tag teams up like crazy. So this was on Freddie Prinze's podcast called Wrestling with Freddie, that he started talking about how he kept pushing tag teams. I know he was pushing, like he mentioned, he was pushing Harry Smith, Davey Boy Smith's son, and TJ Wilson, and the Usos. And he would put all this effort into it. And then Vince would be like, no, get that out of here. And Freddie could not understand why. And and the quote that Freddie said was, and I can't say it totally on the air, but Freddie, I got to pay 4 guys for one blanking match. And Freddie said, oh, I never looked at it like that. Do you agree with that, James? Do you agree with that assessment? Considering these guys are under contract and usually paying for their own travel and all that stuff, does it matter if it's 4 guys or 2? Or is Vince just saying the more tag teams that I have, the more people I have to keep employed, the more it costs me? I'm kind of torn on it.
The logic on what Vince is saying with that, not going to lie, I can. But if that's the case, then you should make it known and not do tag team wrestling at all, really. Then don't stop and start with it. Just don't make it a staple of your promotion, then, if that's how you really feel.
No, see.
Also,
good.
Really, with his promotion, I believe it's not really that much, I feel, growth for that division in tag team wrestling in the WWE. They just don't put enough effort in it, enough storylines, and they just don't have enough compelling teams. They only have, it's very top-heavy with their divisions. You'll have 2 great teams, and the rest are teams that you have really no realistic chance to be champions. And that's what makes a division, or a mid-card. Enough people to where you feel they have a chance to get where they need to go.
And the problem is that when Vince will stop and start tag teams like crazy and break them up, and 1 minute it's they're okay, and the next minute, nope, you're out of here. Like they just had Los Lotharios starting to get a push, and then all of a sudden killed them. Just said, see ya, goodbye. You're going to lose, and we don't care anymore. But it's been proven over the years that if you have a popular tag team that they can draw, think Rock and Roll Express as one example. I mean, they were so good and making so much money that Dusty Rhodes actually wanted to make Ricky Morton the NWA champion so he could split up the Rock and Roll Express. I mean, that is telling you something. The Road Warriors and Midnight Express, you have those matches. You go back, the Midnights had great feuds with the Fantastics and so many other teams. If you have good tag teams, you can draw. You can draw with them. The Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, that list is going to go on and on and on if you treat it right. But I don't know. I don't know if the pay thing is a justification for putting butts in the seats, which they're having trouble doing right now, in case you hadn't noticed. See some of those pictures from Raw? Not good. Not good at all. They got outsold up at the USB Arena by AEW by over 4,000 seats. You know, maybe some tag teams wouldn't be a bad thing, Vinny. Maybe. But there you go. Hey, and we're getting ready to head into break. I need it. I've been firing away for 2.5 hours now here on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM, the talk of Las Vegas. We're on the Mark Hoke Show. James Samuel joining me here as we talk about the world of professional wrestling. Somebody signed a contract. Somebody made some money. And a lot of money. Like $1 million man money. We'll talk about that and so much more when we come back on the second half of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDON. Stick around. We will be right back.
101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas.
This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
Oh, yeah. Let's do some more wrestling. You betcha. Jared's in the booth just dying. James, I don't know. It's kind of a unique circumstance tonight because Jared's doing training tonight. So he's hanging out here with me and running the booth. So while I'm doing this show and doing the substituting there on Common Ground earlier, I like having him here. It's awesome. God, I just make him laugh so much. It kind of scares me. Are you scared, James? You should be.
Nah.
No?
Not too much.
That's true. That's true. There you go.
I got
and there he was. Well, speaking of, by the way, we just had a 1 hour match on AEW Dynamite. Well, WWE did the exact opposite. They've chosen a different approach on Monday Night Raw. Bobby Lashley, the former champion, put out a little challenge, said, hey, you know what? I should be wrestling for the WWE title at the Day 1 pay-per-view coming up on January 1st. And, I beat everybody up last week. I got disrespected. I should be in the match. So the king of general manager, I guess we'll call him, of Raw said, hey, tell you what, you beat all three guys, and you're in the match. The 1 hour Hangman. Now think about that for a second, everybody. I want you to think about this for a second. You are a wrestler who has to beat three people, including the current WWE champion, to get into a match. James, how long do you think that would take? I mean, just give me a round ballpark time.
About 30, 40 minutes.
Something like that. No. In a matter of minutes, Bobby Lashley's wrestling Kevin Owens. Starts to put the hurt lock on him. And this was great. Kevin Owens, before Bobby got his hands locked, because it's basically a full Nelson for those of you anything about wrestling. Before he locked his hands, Owens taps out. Says, I'm not getting hurt. Screw this. I'm going home. Then Lashley spears Seth Rollins. Gone. That takes care of that. And then Lashley actually has a match with Big E, wins, and he will now be in a fatal four-way for the WWE Championship. And it actually wasn't bad. I'm not gonna sit there and say it was terrible, but you just rolled through the top three contenders in a matter of minutes. Is that a good thing, James? Do you think it's a good thing?
No, it's not.
I go on CBSSports.com and for a lot of results, and I really like Brent Brookhouse's reviews. I usually agree with him heavily. He gave that whole segment an A, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, it made Bobby look good, and Big E didn't look bad or anything like that. But good Lord, we just got to watch 2 nights later. We get to watch an hour-long classic, and that happens. But hey, now we've got Lashley, Rollins, Big E, and Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship. Should be a lot of fun. One of those guys just made some money. One of them, that being my man Kevin Owens. His contract was going to be up at the end of January. He has surprisingly, I think, re-signed with World Wrestling Entertainment. He will be back for, I believe, let me find the terms of the reported terms of the contract. He will be with WWE until January 2025, and he's making not quite Roman and Brock money, but between $2 and $3 million a year. Wow. And of course, he'd been hinting he was going to go to AEW. Ton of friends in AEW. But he is staying with WWE at least for another 3 years. And I pulled this one up on comicbook.com. They're all over it. Where he did an interview saying the decision was pretty easy because it was really the best thing for my family. When it comes to that, it's always a pretty easy decision. WWE has been my home for 7 years, so I have a sense of belonging. Basically, I spent most of my career there. When you look at all the wrestling companies I've wrestled in WWE, that's where I've been the longest. That's where I need to be for the next few years. That's how I felt, and that's the decision I made. Wow. So $2 to $3 million does not have a no-cut clause, according to Meltzer. So, wow. I got to say, pretty surprised. James, I think, I'm sure Joe and Fish and I will be talking about this tomorrow, but wow, Kevin Owens doesn't hop ship. What do you think?
I was a little surprised. I felt like he was, on pace to go to AEW, as everyone else thought as well. But I think he can do a lot of good things in WWE still. I would still like to see them go back to his prize fighter gimmick he had. I think that was the best gimmick they really had in him with the WWE. I think if he goes back to that, he can have success in WWE.
And he's had some amazing moments in there. Of course, the first time he was the NXT champion and then came up and was the NXT champion, wrestles John Cena and beats him in their first match, which Cena putting him over was stunning. And of course was the Universal Champion and teaming with Chris Jericho and had the Friendship Festival, which is one of the legendary skits in WWE history. But of course, Kevin known mostly, fight Steen fight in Ring of Honor, and you really would have expected him to, maybe take to the AEW style. But when I look at it, obviously the financial security is one thing. That's a lot of money to just walk away from. But also, kind of AEW, I'm not sure where he would have completely fit in. It's a pretty filled roster right now. You got a lot of guys that are mean and nasty in AEW. Did you really need another one? So, I can't fault the guy for signing that contract. I mean, that's pretty good money. You're talking, I think that, it's like Becky Lynch-ish territory. So not bad at all. James, you think, you agree?
Yeah, definitely. You got to secure yourself in this business, and I think that's what he did. I think and I think a lot of wrestlers, AEW might fall out on some free agents that I think they might be afraid of, getting lost in the shuffle. What do you think about that, as far as other free agents that might come about?
Yeah, I mean, we're still waiting for the Wyndham Rotunda / Bray Wyatt domino to fall, but he's busy. Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, I'm sure we're going to see him within the next couple of weeks on AEW. I don't know if Kevin would have fallen through the cracks, but obviously they've got some big plans for him, and I'll be frank, I will not be surprised if he doesn't walk out of that match the WWE champion on day one. Which I'm cool. I love Kevin's work. He's always been a guy that I've looked up to in professional wrestling, and I think it would be nice to see him bring that home. Speaking of homes, we had a punch heard around the world too. Someone got kicked out of their house, and boy, did they ever. Talking on SmackDown as Paul Heyman was fired from the Bloodline. talking a little chat in the ring with Roman and the Usos, and Heyman was thanked for 40 years of service to the Anoa'i family. And quickly, Superman punched, followed by Brock Lesnar coming in and attacking Roman Reigns. There's more lead up to the day one match between the two of them. The interesting part is, where does Heyman go from here? Because I got to say that I'm surprised that this happened on TV as opposed to the day one pay-per-view. You would have, or WrestleMania, you would have thought that something would have taken place there that may have caused something like this. But I'm shocked that they did this early, and I'm really wondering where they're taking this storyline, or if they know where they're taking this storyline. What did you think about Paul Heyman's firing on SmackDown on Friday night?
I think this move was cool because, as we got the reports that this day one is a Nick Khan thing and he wants it to do well so it can survive and be an annual pay-per-view. That's why I think this move was pulled, to put intrigue into that match specifically and get all the eyes to have a big, viewing number for that pay-per-view.
Well, but I think the question is what does Paul Heyman do from here? The easy route obviously is, he goes to Brock Lesnar, and the thing that got Paul fired, by the way, was him saying that Roman asked him if he was protecting Reigns from Lesnar, and Heyman responded, "No, I was protecting you from him." So kind of turned it and said, "Well, you know what? I think I got to keep Brock away from you because he's going to kill you." And that did it. I don't know. It just seems like weird timing to do something like this. And, and obviously you have a kind of a setup where, can Brock trust Paul Heyman again if they end up working together? So I don't know. I'm really torn on this. I'm not sure, James. Not sure.
I think it worked. I have intrigue for the match. Now I'm wondering, okay, how's it going to go? Like, is Paul Heyman really not with Roman Reigns? Is this a ploy? Is he, what's going on? So I think it even though some might feel it was prematurely moved, I think it has, inserted intrigue into that situation.
Yeah, well, we will see what happens with it. But so Paul Heyman fired. Boy, they got to redo the T-shirts, man. Hope you got your Bloodline T-shirt now, because having the Wise Man on there, not gonna happen. It's gone. Let's see some of the other stuff that happened in WWE. Honestly, the sad part is that there was not really anything else personally that I found too intriguing on the shows. Obviously, the main event guys did their jobs, but yeah, I don't know. What did you think of SmackDown and Raw?
I think Raw has got better. I think it was absolutely horrible for most of the year. I think the last couple of months.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
It got better. Huh?
Yeah, you're not the only one. A lot of people not liking Raw, that's for sure. One thing that happened on SmackDown, by the way, I do want to mention, Cesaro is a jobber again, apparently. As he lost to Ridge Holland. After having that great match with Roman Reigns earlier in the year, he finally gets a push, and now he was defeated by Ridge Holland. Wow, how the mighty have fallen on that one. I just don't get what they're doing with Cesaro. I really
think he's the number one wrestler in the whole industry. That just needs a shake-up, or just needs to be in a different promotion. I think if he's in any promotion, for that matter, it will work, because they'll push him how he needs to be. WWE just doesn't seem to want to push him, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get it. The strength, the ability. I mean, he's eloquent. I cannot understand what they are doing with Cesaro in WWE. A couple other, we got plenty of time. By the way, you know what? While we have a minute, I actually have a producer here. If you have something you want to throw out real fast We got about 15 minutes in the show. 702-257-5396 is the call number. If you want to give us a call, if you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear it. 702-257-5396. I probably should have done that sooner, but we kind of got on a roll here. And by the way, and back to AEW real quick. We have MJF, of course, in a pretty interesting match with Dante Martin. Two up-and-coming stars there. But, boy, this MJF thing, the three-peat on the Diamond Battle Royal, so he actually gets another ring. That's scary. But there is a lot of talk right now that WWE wants to steal him away. Even I did see a quick story that Fox, the network, of course, where SmackDown's on, is dying to get MJF. Boy, I'll tell you what, is MJF going to make a lot of money when that contract comes up. And I think it's next year. How intriguing is this? And I'm just curious, James, do you think that MJF should go to WWE?
Yeah.
Or you think so?
The minute I seen that kid live, I said, this kid is amazing. He knows how to be a heel. And I think he's one of the last people that really know how to do that. Like, I think he really understands the whole, aura of a heel and how important that is to a wrestling show. And I think that his talents will be used well in WWE in that matter. I really don't see him going to WWE and failing. I think they'll use him as one of the monster heel he can be. Not monster heel for his stature, but just the heat he generates.
Well, the thing that I worry about with him is that they're going to sanitize him. One of the cool things about him being in AEW is he can pretty much say what he wants to say. And he has. He's said some pretty rough stuff. He will never be able to do that in WWE. Never. Not in a family-oriented show. He's gonna be restrained, and that is the one thing that I do worry about with him. We've got a caller. Hey, there's I don't know, but let's get Ed on the air. Ed, welcome to the Mark Hoke Show.
Yeah, I want to ask: are there any bars or restaurants that feature wrestling on the TV in the Las Vegas area or in Nevada or
Ed,
LA?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I haven't seen any. But we may have a little thing with my buddy Joe DeFalco with Future Stars of Wrestling coming up. So keep your eyes peeled because we will try and have an announcement about that.
Yeah. Well, I'll listen on the air. I just was wondering. I mean, I only see everything from hockey to swimming to football to whatever, but I've never seen much wrestling on the TV in a bar, not even on one screen.
Anyway. That's sad, isn't it? That's sad.
Or even you'd think they'd have, like, you go to some of these sports books that some of those TV things that you at the desks. I've never seen it on any of those either.
Some of the issue.
I'll listen on the air and keep us posted.
Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Some of the reason behind that is that WWE, you have to get clearance from WWE to show the pay-per-views. Same thing with AEW. So sometimes that is restricted a little bit. You got to be a little bit careful when dealing, especially with WWE. They do not like people making money off their product unless they're making money along with it. So sometimes that'll hold you up a little bit. But we're actually in discussion to work some things out. So keep your ears on the Mark Hoke Show, and we'll let you know. There you go. There was a call. That was fun. Right, James?
Yeah, we're moving up in the world, getting callers now.
Yeah, well, I have a producer here. So, see, for those that don't know, on this show, I have to be in the booth, and I'm producing it myself. So trying to take phone calls during this show on Saturday night, can't do it. I'd actually have to pick the phone up while I was on the air. So that is no bueno in the radio business, to say the least. So. But yeah, I would love to see that. One thing that I would say is when AEW does their pay-per-views, they do feature those. You can buy a ticket. It's usually $25 to go in and watch pay-per-view at some of the movie theaters in town. So if you want to see the AEW pay-per-views, keep your eyes peeled for that. I did that for All Out, and boy, that was a blast. Weren't a ton of people in there, but it was a lot of fun watching that on a theater screen. That was amazing. So there you go. 702-257-5396. If anybody else wants to give us a call real quick, we got a few minutes left in the show. With the situation with Bryan Danielson and Adam Page, and now we've got MJF and CM Punk and so many other guys that seem to be contending for the AEW World Title. An intriguing question: who's next? James? Who do you think is going to be the next AEW champion?
Man, I think Moxley. I think Moxley's going to make a triumphant return.
Wow!
Get back in that title scene and reclaim the title.
So they're gonna hold everybody else off and let Mox win the title?
I think he's going to come back very soon. I don't think that we have to hold anyone back. I feel like, because really, if you think about it, who really is a credible to have it right now person?
Well,
not really. I can't see anyone outside of maybe MJF,
Punk, Danielson, Adam Cole.
Danielson, he's ready, but I feel they're still doing their showcase of him. You know what I mean? So I feel like Moxley coming back, I think, and taking it, I think that will be good. And then I think you could have some character development for Adam Page due to him losing it to him. So I think, you can get some little anti-hero-ness with Page, because he's, with that loss, he can turn a little bit of heelish.
Yeah, I think Danielson's going to be the next champ, but I think it's a ways down the road. And speaking of roads, did you happen to notice, by the way, of course, we had talked about Cody Rhodes, who's one of the executive vice presidents, of course, son of the American Dream, and helped found AEW. And Cody's been having a little trouble with the Boo Birds. People don't seem to like Cody. So they've been trying to put him in positions where people almost have to cheer him. So on Dynamite last night, they put Cody Rhodes out there, who was doing a promo, and he gets Dan Lambert, Scorpio Sky, and Ethan Page, and Dan Lambert, who everybody hates with a passion, and they put him out there with Cody Rhodes, hoping, I would assume, that people would cheer Cody over Dan Lambert. So, of course, that whole thing got physical. And they're teasing a match with the Rhodes brothers, him and Cody and Dustin, taking on the Men of the Year, Page and Sky. That is intriguing. But, James, will it be enough to have Dan Lambert in Cody's face all the time to get him over again?
No, I don't think so. I think that Cody's ship is kind of sailed, man. It's sad to say. But I don't really see him coming back unless he goes heel and embraces it. Like he kind of be like a Miz type. Like he kind of embraces everyone's hatred of him. I think if he goes that route, he could be successful.
I think he has to turn. If they can't get people to cheer for him with this situation with Dan Lambert and teaming with his brother, I don't know what hope there is. He just did too many corporate type things and didn't put himself in a good position, and now everybody boos Cody, which I'm really surprised. I mean I personally wouldn't boo Cody. I like Cody. I think Cody's an amazing wrestler. I think he's done a lot for professional wrestling, and it's stunning to see him not getting cheered at all. But I guess he just lost contact with the fans, and he's in John Cena, Roman Reigns land now, and got to find his way out. Pretty interesting, but what a mess for Cody. My God. By the way, speaking of messes, also on Dynamite, we had an 8-man tag and a 10-man tag same night. Yahoo! That was fun. Do you think it's a good idea having an 8-man tag and a 10-man tag on a 1-hour show?
That's what it is.
Good matches. But wow, I don't know if they just kind of had to get everybody kind of sneaked out there on the shows or what, but they followed They had the Undisputed Elite Super Click. I'm just losing track of who's in those. But it's Young Bucks, Bobby Fish, and Adam Cole. I gotta write this. I'm gonna start writing this down. Who's the Super Click? Who's the Elite? Who's the Super Click Elite? Guys, just pick one, will you? Just be one group and keep this simple. But it was Young Bucks, Bobby Fish, Adam Cole against Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and Rocky Romero. And those guys are starting to confuse me too, between Best Friends, Roppongi Vice. Man, I need a damn scorecard. I really do. But a good match, and Trent. Of course, Trent was back. Good for Trent Beretta coming back. Got driven in by his mom, Sue's over, by the way. Good for her. But yeah, Trent gets the win in that one after some craziness in that match. And then the end of the night, it was the Lucha Brothers, Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz against Daniel Garcia 2.0 and the Acclaimed. Okay, caught my breath now. And the bad guys went over on that. Pretty cool, but still, that's a lot of people. I mean, they really like doing these 8-man matches and stuff. I don't know if it's just because the roster's loaded and they need to keep everybody busy or what, but wow, something else there. It's a lot of wrestlers. Vince McMahon would not be happy. Got to pay all those guys, right, James?
Yep, he wouldn't.
Yeah, that was that's something else. But a couple of great shows, and of course AEW is going to be doing some terrific shows over the holiday season too. We'll look forward to that, and of course this lead up to day one. Now I'm getting intrigued by this pay-per-view. I got to say that you got two very good title matches coming up. Plus, I believe it is the Usos and New Day on that one as well. So we'll see where all that turns out. Speaking of seeing what turns out, tomorrow morning, this crew changes. Joe DeFalco from Future Stars of Wrestling and Andrew Fish Fain will be in the studio bright and early, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Calling in to put a promo on Fish.
We'll give it a shot. We'll see how that goes. But, hey, James, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it. Guys, thanks for listening. And stick around because, of course, coming up, the Trojan Football Report with Harvey Hyde coming up for you in just a little bit here on KDON 101.5 FM, 720 AM, the talk of Las Vegas. Have a great night, everybody.